What I'm going to have done is my entire face. He's taking some of the skin out of my neck. He's doing my face, my eyes, and the wrinkles on my forehead. As far as the neckline was concerned, he said it was no problem. He could take it all out. He said that he could get 75 to 80% of the part around from my nose out. He said he could take about 90% of anything that might be around the eyes and around 80% of the wrinkles on the forehead.
Did you decide when to stop? I mean, why don't you have other things done in that case? I mean...
Well, that's about as far as you can go. I mean, the entire face and neck.
Well, I'm going to have the bump here in my nose removed, and...
Can I see? Can you tell?
Surely. Right here. See this bump?
Well, yes.
Not
much of a bump.
And then I'm having, this is going to be shortened and raised a little, and then this whole area in here thinned out.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to take, well, as the girl explained it to me, it's like chicken fat that they're taking out from underneath here, which will tighten me under here, under my eyes. And then all of this extra flesh that accumulates, this will be taken out, and that will be tightened so that I won't lose the largeness of my eyes, and they won't sink into my face.
But you have super eyes. Why should you wish to...
Because I want to keep them super.
Yes, have you noticed? They're just not making mirrors the way they used to. But don't worry, these days great beauties are made, not born. For it's not only aging film stars and blue-rinsed matrons who are turning to the cosmetic knife. Last year, more than 500,000 ordinary Americans bought a better body image. And since it takes less time to lose wrinkles than get a haircut, Californian affluence means that after the swimming pool, a couple of cars and color TV, the next step is a call on your friendly neighborhood plastic surgeon. A cosmetic operation is surgery you choose to have of your own yearning. And what's more, here it's tax deductible. For a woman, a new face or figure can bring quite another sort of life. For a man, survival or triumph in a business jungle where youth is beautiful. After the operation, most patients still pretend their new tight cheeks have come from a good night's sleep, but some grow bolder. Senator William Proxmire held a press conference to announce his hair transplant, though even he didn't mention his eyes had been debagged. Such assembly line surgery now has more in common with the hairdressing salon than the operating theatre, and one of the tycoons of this booming business operates from these Beverly Hills consulting rooms where he earns at least $1,000 an hour, say £250,000 a year, selling instant youth.
Hi, guys. Don't cough.
Dr. Kurt Wagner is a cheerful man, and MASH could play in his operating theatre.
Spit it out. If you're not going to spit it out, then let's forget about it. Help us, Jesus.
Colorado in March?
Help us, Jesus.
I went to the workshop, the oilology workshop after that. We're giving one in February.
Oh, my God. You know what's funny about this girl? Her mother brought her in, and her mother said, I've never had one of those fixed. And it was the most obvious nose job I've ever seen in my life. How's that? Is that pretty good, guy? How's that? Nice. And now, for my next trick. Come here, Mary.
Now what, Doctor?
Now I have to do another nose operation, and then an eyelid operation, an eyelid and a breast operation, then another nose operation, and then hair transplants on a man. Aside from seeing about 30 patients today, some new, most of them for post-operative checkups, and then I can go home and go swimming.
How many hours a day is this?
I'd say we work about 12 hours a day when we work. We work 3 to 4 days a week.
He's about to work on Morris Carter, a retired builder, age 60.
Now, what decided you to do it? Was there one moment where you said, right, new phase?
No, I'm doing it for myself, and possibly for the attraction of everybody.
But now you see, Mr. Carter, you're a remarkably young-looking man for your age anyway. Why do you want to go under the surgeon's knife?
Well, I don't feel as old as I am, really. And I'm able to go into a gym and work out. I can do things for the rest of my body, but it seems that as far as my face is concerned, there's not much I can do about it.
You can't exercise your face?
I can't, somewhat, but it's getting away from me. And I feel that This year it's starting to look old. Next year it's going to be worse, and I don't want it that way.
Now, how much is this going to cost you, this new face?
This is going to cost $2,500.
$2,500, that's £1,000 to me. Now, could you not spend that $2,500 in some more enjoyable way?
Well, I don't know. No, $2,500 today doesn't buy very much.
It'd buy you a car, a trip to Europe.
Oh, it could buy a trip to Europe, but I've been to Europe. Oh, and it would buy only the smallest car. And again, I have a car.
You're a divorced man, Mr. Carter. Is it possibly that you're thinking of another wife? Is that why you're preparing a new face for yourself?
Well, let's say that I'm not looking. And I didn't say that I wasn't going to get married again. I don't know. I have no plans to get married again.
See, what you're doing is you're trying to hold back the calendar.
Oh, yes, I think... no, I'm not sure about that. I think maybe I'm trying to enjoy the calendar while it's running. I have no illusions that I'm holding back the calendar.
What you're saying really is, I may die, but I'll never grow old.
Well, I hope that is right. Now, the thing is, I don't think there's any difference in going into a gym and working out to make yourself feel better and make your body look better than there is in having cosmetic surgery in order to make your face look better. This is the way I feel about it. There's another thing. I think possibly I mean, I'll admit it. I'm very vain. It's vanity, and it bothers me possibly to go to the beach or go to say a public pool. I can swim as well or dive as well as I ever did. However, my face gives me away when my body will not.
How do you think, Mr. Carter, when you've had the operation, that your life will change?
I think possibly I will feel different. Now, I won't say that I haven't any ambition. I'm not looking to open a lot of doors or go up the ladder for different things.
You're not doing it for your career, after all.
No, I'm not. I'm doing it so I can enjoy the life that I have left.
Eileen Perlmutter, aged 43 and separated from her husband, is about to have her eyes and nose done.
I have a feeling that I'm going to have a prettier look about me. I see myself inside of me as one way, and then when I look in the mirror, it's not quite that way. And I'm always a little shocked. And I have a feeling that when this is done and the nose is refined, that I'm going to have that look that I feel inside of me.
But you've got laughing eyes, which are so nice.
Yes.
Are you not worried that you'll have a sort of mask?
No, because you see, because I do have laughing eyes, the lines won't be taken away. And it will just be the extra fat tissue that is building up under here and up on top here. But no, my crinkly eye corners will stay, and laughing eyes, as you put it, because that's what gives me character. And I wouldn't want that to go. I think that's a mistake that so many women make with plastic surgery. They're so intent on keeping the youthful look that they forget what makes a woman interesting, or a man, is age and experiences which do show on our face in certain types of lines. And I'm fortunate to have these, and I wouldn't want them to be taken away.
Because you can tighten the skin so much.
Oh, of course. Well, of course, they have, plastic surgery where they slit here, and they can pull all this very tight. But then again, they can take away every bit of your lines, which is, I think, what they used to do. But a good plastic surgeon won't do that anymore today. He wants you to look as natural as possible.
Barbara Streisand seems to have brought in the era of the noble nose.
How many Barbara Streisands are there? She's a personality. And I think it's something that has to come from within. Would Barbara Streisand feel the same way if Barbara Streisand didn't have her beautiful voice and her acting talents? I don't know. I can only speak for myself, what it's meant to me. When I was much younger, I had aspirations like so many California girls do of being an actress. I think I had a measure of talent, but I didn't have enough confidence in myself. For instance, whenever they would take stills on the set afterwards, I would sit like this, so no matter what character I was portraying, always like this, so that they would never see, my nose would never be down this way. And I came across a few of the old publicity shots not long ago, and I saw myself like this, and I thought, my God, how ridiculous you look. I was very thin, and I was all eyes and all nose, and I wouldn't smile. In fact, many people who didn't know me, my peers at that time in school, thought I was very conceited. I wasn't. I was very insecure because of my nose. Well, I did all sorts of weird things, and I used to sit like this. All the time, hoping this would help.
How different do you think the past 43 years would have been had you have had this nose job done when you were much younger?
I think my teen years would have been much happier. I was not a happy teenager. I was afraid of rejection, and yet I wasn't open, and I didn't have the friend that I could have had. There were many areas because of the fact that people thought I was very stuck up. I wasn't. I would actually walk across the street not to have to say hello to someone for fear that they might not say hello back because I wouldn't smile. And I never did smile when I was younger. It took me a lot of years to learn that I had a pretty smile.
Now, how did smiling affect your nose, though?
Made it look bigger. At least that's what I thought. I still think it. I do it because it does light up my face. But all the time, every time I smile, even as old as I am and as supposedly mature as I am, I still have the feeling that that's hanging over.
Dr. Wagner's consulting rooms,
Well, then she's out of it, and everything is fine.
where Californians come to lose face.
You've got a super nose.
Patients are shepherded by his chief nurse.
Usually our patient that we have the most trouble with is somebody that is doing surgery for someone else instead of for themselves. And they have problems just following instructions. They want immediate results, and they want to go home and be immediately well for their boyfriend or whoever it is.
Beautiful right away.
Right. And it doesn't work that way. It takes a couple weeks for some of the immediate stuff to go away, but people look at themselves much more critically than you or I look at people. People look at themselves from 6 inches in a mirror, and when you see somebody on the street, you're really looking, a yard or two away from them.
Yes.
Usually we do.
Let me get out of here one minute, yes.
Usually we do eyes in conjunction with something else. Few people just schedule eyes unless they're really super chicken, and then they do one thing at a time.
But I'm surprised that more people aren't super chicken, because I'm quite frightened just standing here. But they don't seem to be worried in the
Well,
waiting room.
I think a lot of people plan for quite a while on plastic surgery, and there's been a lot of literature circulated, in this country at least, on what facelifts. They know what, they don't shop. They come in here and they know what they want to do. They make plans for it, and we do it.
And what about you? Have you had anything done?
Oh, a lot of work.
Have you?
Nothing's real anymore. Just the end of my little finger. No, I've had my nose done, and I've had my chin done, and I've had my chest done.
Truly?
Truly, truly. All the rest is real.
Now, what happened before that? the
What
nose?
happened? I had a very large, prominent nose and no chin, like Andy Gump.
And your chest?
My chest was the same. I just had some cysts removed and replaced with inserts.
Weren't you frightened?
No, I trust him very much. He's very good.
Well, you're a great advertisement, I can tell you that.
So. We stop in the middle and have word from our sponsor. No. Most of the girls have had work done that work here, either because it's like working in a shoe store where you tend to have it done, but I had my work done before I worked.
But you fill in if somebody doesn't turn up for an appointment.
Yeah, right.
If somebody is super chick.
Actually, that's what Lori did, the other girl that works here, the dark-haired girl in the other room. One day she says, well, I do it, but. And so we just threw her down one day and said, this is it, come on, and she did it. So she's had her nose done, too.
Just a nose?
Mm-hmm.
You've got a super nose, but you still have a slight little
Bump,
couple
yeah.
shares there, don't you? What's that?
Nobody's perfect.
Is that where the computer
No,
coughed?
I think it's just, well, if it was real smooth and perfect, I think it would look very artificial. And I think the real good part about he as an aesthetic sense over another aesthetic sense is perhaps the fact that he undercorrects. He doesn't overdo it.
But I mean, he didn't drop a stitch then, did he?
No, it's just the way I healed. Everybody heals differently. And it could be fixed, but I really don't want it fixed.
Yeah, looks fine. Was the effect upon other people? I mean, your boyfriends, did they suddenly say, wow?
Yeah, well, my husband said he was, you know, I'm walking around in my underwear with a strange woman. He was in Vietnam at the time I had a lot of the work done, and when he came off the plane, it was a good thing I had my daughter with me, because otherwise I don't think he would have recognized me. There was a tremendous amount of difference, because my hair had gotten longer, and I'd lost a lot of weight, and all those things added up. But my mother-in-law, who didn't notice my nose when I had it done, when I had my chin done, said, "My God, you've had your nose done." But to this day, I don't even think she knows. But it's very commonplace. I mean, used to be stars. Everything was oriented around stars. People make more money now. They have more conveniences at home. And it really costs less than a car, and your nose lasts forever. You don't, in 3 years, my nose doesn't depreciate.
It doesn't go out of style.
No, it does. Well, I hope not.
I mean,
No, I haven't.
doing before.
Oh, I gotta move. I'll spend
Down
all
the
Saturday.
freeway. Just keep talking to me, and I'm sorry, I don't like to see the needle.
You don't
You
feel you
won't.
want to change your mind, do you?
No.
Well, I've got her tied down. She
Yes,
can't
right. You know, I wouldn't mind it if she gave me a pill first to put me to sleep. Well, I'm one of these people that talk a lot when they're nervous about something. And
Oh,
when
good.
something
We ought to get along great.
bothers me, I get hung up about it, I talk about it.
Well,
And
you
that
told
bothers me.
You told me you weren't a bit nervous.
No, just that one thing.
Just the hypodermic.
Yeah, that's all.
The actual operation doesn't worry you.
I don't know what's going on. I don't care.
You're going to lose a little bit of that nose. Think of that. You'll never see it again.
You know what my daughter did? She came into my bedroom about 4:30 this morning and woke me up and said, "Mother," and she said, "May I turn on the light?" She says, "I want to take one last look at you the way you are."
I'm outlining the amount of skin that is going to be excised in a dye to take out the fat and some of the crow's feet and extra tissue. Now I make some markings patterned for the nose, where I remove the hump of the nose to make it look a lot nicer. We all have an idea or concept of what beauty is. And I like a straight nose, not turned up, finely chiseled features, measuring in proportion to the cheekbones, the chin, and so on and so forth. And now the patient goes to lullaby land, which she really likes.
I don't know.
Okay.
I say ow a lot, doctor.
I don't care what you say, as long as you don't decide to get up in the middle of the operation.
You've got to be kidding with all those markings on my face after
Okay.
what I heard you say.
Okay.
Thoroughly enjoy.
Would you do me a favor, please? Would
going
you
in
just
right
give me
now
that
with your-
that nice instrument? Just
Right
hand
here.
it to me. That's super. The medicine that she gets is a combination called twilight sleep. The original component was a drug called scopolamine, which was the forgetfulness drug, and something that we add now to it called Valium. And Valium is a wonderful tranquilizer, relaxant,
She takes some Valium.
and I wish that I had invented it. Now, many physicians prefer to do this operation under general anesthesia. I don't like it because it puts another instrument in the way, another physician in the way. It causes dilatation of the blood vessels, more bleeding, and a much more difficult operation. The first thing that I'm going to do is remove the excess skin of the upper lid. Nothing very exciting about it. And could I have the coagulator?
How do you answer the criticism, Doctor, that a surgeon of your talent might spend his time better doing operations that were perhaps a little more serious?
Well, if you're referring to war wounds, burns, and things of that nature, I have done my share of those when I was in the service, when I was in training, and even now I will operate on people who come here who have no funds, who have tremendous deformities, and I do it. So I happen to like cosmetic surgery, and I have to live with myself. if I can spend my day bringing happiness to a certain number of people, then I consider that my day is well spent. And if this woman is happy for what I've done, then I don't think that anyone can find much to complain about.
Why do you think there is this great boom in cosmetic surgery at the moment?
Well, I think it's a combination of increased awareness, increased affluence, and the media and our society is stressing looks, beauty, what have you, in every way possible. Magazines are replete with details down to the gruesome end about breast lifts, stomach lifts, rear end lifts, thigh lifts, noses, faces, eyelids, everything. Have the three of them. And it's, since the population is becoming increasingly affluent, why shouldn't they have what everybody else has?
Here in Hollywood, one sees a lot of women of a certain age who've obviously had a face job, and one does detect there's a sort of grin. The skin is drawn back.
It's poor workmanship. And as there is a Michelangelo and a Leonardo da Vinci, there are different individuals doing plastic surgery, and I like to think that my patients don't have those telltale signs of cosmetic surgery.
But you do admit that some masks are turned out.
Oh, I do, and that's fortunate for me.
Do you have no failures at all? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I have failures. Everyone has failures. I can't say that I don't. But the failures that I have are in the expectations of the patients. The patients expect more than they're going to get. That's the problem.
It would seem that you're perhaps as much a psychoanalyst as you are a surgeon, because do your patients not come to you with neurotic problems that they think you will solve with that knife?
Well, that's true. Fortunately, I have a great respect for psychoanalysis. And one of the nice things about plastic surgery is that neuroses or even psychosis is not a contraindication for surgery.
But if a lonely and neurotic lady with a bad nose comes in, she thinks that if you fix the nose, she won't be neurotic and she won't be lonely anymore.
You know, sometimes it works out that way. And that's one of the things that I find very difficult to understand. But it does happen.
Isn't it true that it never really matters much what a man looks like, that women fall in love through their ears and men through their eyes?
I believe that looking good is an asset for a man. Now, I'm not arguing if you're J.P. Getty, you're not going to have much trouble. Somebody will go for you. Or if you're Louis B. Mayer, or if you're Richard Nixon, you won't have any trouble if you want to get female companionship. Give me the hook in the 509.
But if you're Bill Smith, somebody will go for you too, thank goodness.
Yeah, but if you're a good-looking Bill Smith, you have a much bigger choice. Why not? Now that we've done the eyes, we're going to do this lady's nose. Now, obviously, she could live the next 40 years without having a nose fixed because she's a attractive, articulate lady. But she wants her nose done, and why not? So if I tend to do anything, I tend to leave people with the nose a little on the longer side rather than the shorter side, and not turned up as though they're going into a rainstorm and will be drowned. And then I put in an electric saw. Now, at this time, the sound and the vibration might wake the patient up.
Oh, wait.
She's awake. Okay.
You hurt?
Uh-huh.
You hurt?
Oh, just a little bit.
Now we put the nose back together from whence we separated it.
You feel what you're doing.
You do? Does it hurt a lot? A little?
A burning pain.
Okay.
Do you want some more?
I want some more. Yeah. Okay, if you want to see what the difference is, because you've seen her before, you have to appreciate that there's a certain amount of give of the skin, but you can see that the angle is different. This is a very nice, smooth, sloping angle. It's much more youthful. And that this part of her nose is much thinner. If you remember, she had pieces of cartilage going out.
She's had this new face for the price of a good second-hand car.
That's right.
What about you, Doctor? Is there anyone in the United States who's earned as much as you have in the past 45 minutes, do you think?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that there are quite a few rock and roll singers, and some actors, and some people in the commodities market,
Sure.
and some people in television. And
Precious few people in television.
well, I won't deny one thing, that I'm well paid for what I do, but the stakes are very great, very akin to flying spy planes. If everything works out well, you're a hero. If it doesn't work out well, woe betide. Nobody knows you. And there is no tremendous veneration of the physician in the United States. And if you bother reading the paper tomorrow, you'll see what I mean.
What's that mean?
It means that you can be sued for malpractice if the patient doesn't like it. And they don't sue for $200 or $300. They sue for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You know, sutures.
You shouldn't be giving her an order suggestion now.
I'm not going to, because I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm bad at. And I have very few suits against me. And most of the suits against me have no basis in fact. They're just disgruntled patients. You can see here now, it's a much nicer, much more pleasant nose. She will have a nice result. And she will remember me forever, very kindly, I assure you. Okay, we're finished, folks.
Doctor, you had a hair transplant and you had
My chin.
your chin fixed. Well, now, under that beard, one can't see whether your chin's been fixed or not. So
That's right. Isn't that funny? I only really care about how I look at myself. And I know that now that my chin is a little bit larger, I feel better and I look better. And the reason I have a beard is because I look better yet with a beard, and my 12-year-old daughter loves me with a beard. And since we have such precious few moments that we have our 12-year-olds love us, I want to savor it for as long as I can.
is there anything you can't do on this table, cosmetically?
Well, yes. You know, I can't make anybody taller. I can't really logically increase the size of the male organ, although it's been asked more than once, joking in a very serious manner.
That can't be done.
No, ears are very difficult to manufacture from nothing. But within reason, you can do most anything. You can alter rather than manufacture. And I'm sure the day will come when we'll be able to do more, when there'll be changes from one person's organ to another, much as heart transplants or lung transplants. There are quite a few rock and roll singers, and some actors, and some people in the commodities market,
Sure.
and some people in television. And
Precious few people in television.
well, I won't deny one thing, that I'm well paid for what I do, but the stakes are very great, very akin to flying spy planes. If everything works out well, you're a hero. If it doesn't work out well, woe betide. Nobody knows you. And there is no tremendous veneration of the physician in the United States. And if you bother reading the paper tomorrow, you'll see what I mean.
What's that mean?
It means that you can be sued for malpractice if the patient doesn't like it. And they don't sue for $200 or $300. They sue for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You know, sutures.
You shouldn't be giving her an order suggestion now.
I'm not going to, because I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm bad at. And I have very few suits against me. And most of the suits against me have no basis in fact. They're just disgruntled patients. You can see here now, that's a much nicer, much more pleasant nose. She will have a nice result. And she will remember me forever, very kindly, I assure you. Okay, we're finished, folks.
Doctor, you had a hair transplant and you had
My chin.
your chin fixed. Well, now, under that beard, one can't see whether your chin's been fixed or not. So
That's right. Isn't that funny? I only really care about how I look at myself. And I know that now that my chin is a little bit larger, I feel better and I look better. And the reason I have a beard is because I look better yet with a beard, and my 12-year-old daughter loves me with a beard. And since we have such precious few moments that we have our 12-year-olds love us, I want to savor it for as long as I can.
is there anything you can't do on this table, cosmetically?
Well, yes. You know, I can't make anybody taller. I can't really logically increase the size of the male organ, although it's been asked more than once, joking in a very serious manner.
That can't be done.
No, ears are very difficult to manufacture from nothing, but within reason you can do most anything. You can alter rather than manufacture. And I'm sure the day will come when we'll be able to do more, when there'll be changes from one person's organ to another, much as heart transplants or lung transplants.
After an hour in the recovery room, Eileen Perlmutter, nose smaller, eyes tighter, is prepared for home.
Hello. You ready to wake up? I don't know. Okay, wait. We're gonna help you sit up now. Okay?
She's still somewhat shaky and, understandably, nasal.
Did you feel anything?
No, not really. I mean, I knew he was putting a needle in the nose, but I couldn't really feel it. And I felt a little bit when he snipped at the edges of the nose, but nothing that, you know, was uncomfortable. Now I feel like someone's hit me in the face, you know, like you a bruise.
In a sort of way, that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah.
But the saw made quite a noise. I thought you might hear that.
I don't recall it at all. I heard him once talking to you, and then that was all. I really was out most of the time.
Your nose looks terrific, and so do your eyes. You have a very nice result.
Dr. Wagner's home in Sherman Oaks and second wife, Kathy.
When your husband was talking about you, he said, "I made her," which makes him sound like Frankenstein, but you don't look a bit like the monster. What, in fact, did he do to you?
Well, when we first met, the very first night that he met me, he told me I had congenital blepharochalasis.
How's that again?
He told me I had congenital blepharochalasis. And as a school teacher, I didn't know what those words meant, so he explained them to me. And it's the fatty tissue up here on your eyes and fatty tissue down here. So 2 months after we were dating, I was operated on by him, and he took out the fatty tissue up here, made a small incision up here, and in fact you really can't even see it because it's so microscopic. The scar is there. It's a very, very tiny, thin white line. Up here we have like little tiny folds of fat. Looks like in a chicken, the little yellow on a chicken, and he just took that right out. And now I'm able to put my eyelashes on and to do a million things with my eyes I never could do before.
Like what, I mean?
Well, when I used to put eyeliner on, I used to have to walk around like this because the eyeliner was always up here. And I never could understand why as a teenager and growing up. Everyone else in my family could put their eyeliner on and it was terrific, but for me, I couldn't. And it was a lovely operation, just lovely.
See, people who say they had a lovely operation, I always rather suspect, because it's not a healthy thing to enjoy operations, really. That's a neurotic state if you enjoy being operated on.
Well, maybe, but if you feel that your looks are not what they should be, then by having these operations, it's naturally going to make you feel better. And when I look in the mirror and I see that I look nice, that I don't have this bagginess anymore, that I don't have these wrinkles, that I don't have the things that were there, and when I used to walk around trying to keep my eyeliner on, it was a terrible thing. And now in just a moment I can put it on and my eyes have a whole new look. That's not a neurotic thing. That just makes my whole person, my whole life seem better.
So that was a start. Then what
That
else?
was the start, right. Then after we were married 2 years, I told him that I didn't like the way I looked here. I was very, very flat. My sister used to say, "How are your swollen mosquito bites today?" And it was very sad.
Your breasts.
My breasts. So I asked that he fix those for me. And he wasn't much pleased to do that. He said he liked me the way I was, and I really didn't need to have it done. But I said, "Oh, please, I really want you to fix them for me." So we made a deal. He said that my ears kind of stuck out and that my chin wasn't exactly perfect. So he decided that he would fix my chin. He would just add a little tiny silicone insert in there that went in through the mouth, just a tiny little snip in there, and it would go right in, and it would make the chin come out a little. It would make the cheekbones look better, and then he pinned back the ears, and for doing that, I was able to have this done, which is my favorite. Yes, this is my very favorite.
Now, can I see the ears?
Yes. They stuck out, you know, like down in here. So he just had to pin them back a little bit against my head.
Now, how different are your breasts now than were they? Just bigger?
Oh, much. I mean, 4 times as big. They were just really, really small. And it was terribly degrading. I used to look at women with large breasts, and it used to make me feel so depressed. So as I was growing older, I used to have to wear 2 and 3 falsies on each side. It's putting it in my bra so that I would look bigger. And it was very depressing when I would be at a dance or dancing anywhere. If the fellow held me too close, I would like bong off. I mean, he could, for fast dancing, it was terrible. I felt like a pogo stick almost. The sizes are small, petite, medium, large, and extra large. I have the mediums, and I think that they're plenty large enough. I love them very much. And it did help my whole body take on a different shape.
Does anyone have extra large?
No, not too many, because the extra large are very, very heavy, and they don't work out as well. A few of the women have had them, but the doctors usually had to fix them because they're just too large. They get too heavy. And when this silicone insert with the Dacron mesh on the back adheres to your chest wall, it's sort of hard for those extra large to adhere right. So he does not use the extra large anymore.
But you see, I mean, that's about, what, a pound on each side, isn't it, you're carrying around?
Oh, no, not quite a pound. I don't know for sure what it is.
Do you know how much you've got there?
No, I couldn't weigh them. I really don't know how much they are. All I know is I love them, and that they've helped me just feel more secure with myself, with my whole being. My whole life has changed because of this operation.
They don't destroy your sense of balance, do they?
Oh, no, I've learned to cope with them. In the beginning, when I had the operation, they did feel kind of heavy. And the first few months after I'd had the operations, my girlfriends would come to the house, and I was always holding myself up like this, and they used to always say, "Are you in pain? Are you hurting?" And I'd say, "No, I just forgot." They get heavy. They feel just sort of heavy, but it's a nice kind of feeling. Now I'm very, very used to it.
You didn't find you were hitting things as you walked around corners?
No, I didn't. No, not at all. I love them.
But they obviously must be quite insensitive because they're just bags of silicone liquid.
Well, not truthfully, not truly. It is a very strange phenomenon, but after having the operation, your nipples really do become more sensitive. It's really amazing. Now, this may be a very psychological feeling. It could totally, and probably a psychiatrist would say it is more of a psychological feeling than a physical, but I don't believe so.
So after all this, what's next?
Next will be my hips, because they're very, very large for my frame. I've really tried to lose weight. I still have to lose more weight, but then it'll be my hips. And when he'll do my hips, he has a new way now. You put the bikini on, very, very skimpy bikini, and then the lines, your scar lines are inside this bikini line, so that you can still wear your bathing suit, you can still play tennis, you can still do many of your other activities, and these scars will not show. And I'm very excited about this operation.
What does he do? He just takes a couple of slices off each side?
Don't say slices. We don't like to hear that word.
And what about your bottom? What happens to that?
Well, my bottom's kind of sagging, so he has a way of lifting it up a little. When they do the incision, it goes right. You know how your cheeks are like that. The incision line goes right along those cheeks, and it lifts it up, lifts the legs up, and you walk around with a very tight top bottom, and it's fantastic.
So next is thighs. What
Right.
after that?
One day I want my face done. As soon as I'm old enough, I'd like to have a face.
Well, what can be done to your face?
Well, all the wrinkles will be gone.
Oh, come on.
Well, they're not so bad now, but later on, that's eventually when I'm in my 40s. And I was thinking about having a chemical peel.
What would that do?
The chemical peel is a kind of, it sounds terrible, kind of acid that's put on the face. But it doesn't hurt. You're asleep when it's on. And what it does, it takes away the first couple layers of skin. And then when all these layers are gone, and it looks pretty terrible at first because you're all bumpy and your face gets a little swollen and you look kind of scabby. But when all that's gone, you have the most beautiful skin. It's new skin. It's baby skin.
Yeah, the point is, you see, when you had the wrong eyes, the wrong ears, the wrong chin, and the wrong breasts, you got your husband.
Well, I was lucky, I guess. Maybe when he looked at me, he figured that after he married me, he could make these slight adjustments and I would look better. And first of all, what he always says is that he'll never have to divorce me because he can change me. He can change me every year. I'm married to a Ponce de Leon, to my own Ponce de Leon, my own fountain of youth. I can be changed. He'll never have to divorce me. He can just change me every year, every few years.
It sounds to me as though he was looking for guinea pigs, you see, someone to practice on.
No, I don't think so. He had many people to practice on. He just decided he wanted to make me look better, and I'm certainly happy that he did it because it's fun. I love having these operations.
And he also did it to his mother-in-law.
Yes, he did.
Normally, he would have given her 2 heads, I say.
No, that's my mother. My mother's great. No.
So Dr. Wagner's achieved the ambition of many a man and changed his mother-in-law.
Now, what about your tummy? I mean, was it enormous?
Well, it was larger than I wanted it to be.
But how big is that? I mean...
Well, I don't know how to tell you. I used to feel embarrassed without a girdle, let's put it that way.
Yes.
And now it's so great not to ever wear a girdle at all.
Now, what did he do? He just sliced your tummy off, did he?
Well, no, he makes an incision down in here, takes out the fat, and then pulls it down. And from where my navel was, up here, he moved that all down and put my new navel, cut the navel out and put it back up here where it goes.
I can't bear it.
Well, it was just wonderful.
Really? A new navel? You mean, he created a new navel?
Right.
And he threw the old one away?
I don't know.
How much did he take off?
Well, I think around 10 pounds.
Yeah, but 10 pounds is a lot, isn't it? I mean, 10 pounds is the weight of a portable typewriter. Don't you think you could have achieved all this by dieting?
The muscles are what are real tight. So that even if I tried to stick my stomach out now, it doesn't go out. Hardly. Which is wonderful.
But I mean, did you say, you wake up one morning and say, I want to be a glamorous grandmother?
No, I never did say that. My daughter, Kathy, really wanted me to have it done. And
the younger you look, the younger she looks. That's...
Right. And Kurt wanted to do it for me, so it just was wonderful.
The thing is, after the operation, how can you sleep? You can't sleep on your ears because you've had those done. You can't sleep on your tummy because you've had your tummy done.
Right, I just slept on my back.
What would you have done if you had your bottom down as well?
Well,
you sleep standing up.
Thank goodness I was never bothered with that.
Do you think it's insecurity, vanity, neurosis?
I know it wasn't vanity. I really can honestly say it wasn't.
Why are you standing with your hands in front of your tongue?
Because I don't stand like this and I'm just nervous.
Doctor, I get the impression that a lot of your patients are more in need of the psychiatrist's couch than they are of the surgeon's knife.
I think it's very hard to differentiate between the two. And many times I've said to many of my colleagues, friends, that I'm really a psychiatrist of the skin. So there's a lot in what you say.
But you're in the insecurity market.
No, I wouldn't say that. I'd like to say I'm in the happiness market. I always notice that you like to equate plastic surgery with insecurity. Not really. What is the big deal about wanting to look good? What has that got to do with insecurity? Most of my patients don't really care about insecurity. I mean, they want to look as good as they can. I don't think that's such a terrible thing.
I don't think it's a terrible thing, but one feels that there are a lot of problems that aren't within reach of the knife.
Well, that may be true, and I make my patients aware of it, and we discuss it quite sincerely, frankly, and honestly. Just today, for instance, I spoke with a woman whose husband left her after 43 years. She's quite upset and agitated, and I explained to her that if she were to have a facelift and a nose bob, that she would look better, but it wouldn't bring her back her husband necessarily. And it might, however, make her feel a lot better because, frankly, she didn't look too good. The attitude that the patient has toward himself or herself after the surgery is every bit as important, if not more important, than what you've done. Because I see very frequently people with a minimum of improvement objectively who subjectively feel terrific and radiate what they wanted, while others who had pipe dreams, who've had a marvelous improvement, are still disgruntled and dissatisfied.
But you see, I've been talking to your attractive wife this morning. Now, don't you think you married her before she had this face job?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think you would love her as much today if she hadn't had it as you do now?
Well, one thing has nothing to do with the other. It's just the same as a carpenter liking to have nice fixtures in the house. If I have it in my power to do certain alterations that I find more aesthetically pleasing with a minimum of trauma or damage to anyone, why not do it? I don't see the problem. I don't see the problem with the patients either. I think we're seeing a change in the patient's attitude. Many of my patients who formerly wanted miracles don't want miracles anymore. They just want an improvement in their overall looks. Because if you start thinking about plastic surgery as being a miracle shop, it's really just an extension of going to the clothing store, to the barber shop, to the beautician, to the bootmaker, so to speak. We go to all of these places to buy things or do things to ourselves to make us more attractive. And that's merely what I'm doing on a more or less long-term basis.
But it's wiping out the years.
Well, sometimes it is. If I'm doing a facelift or an eyelid lift, yes, it is. It's turning back the clock as far as other people are concerned and as far as the patient is concerned. But it's really make-believe if it's what you think you're doing it for.
But if you're not in the insecurity business, then you're in the narcissism business.
No doubt about it. To some extent, I surely am. I can't deny that if you don't have any narcissistic feelings, you really don't give a hang about yourself and what you look like. But it's built in. It's built in our culture, in our heritage. And I have the feeling that it's built in us genetically. All you have to do is go to a zoo and look at the animals. And they're always preening themselves, they're always strutting, they're always licking their feathers, or they're licking their fur, or they're making dances. And what is so far-fetched about the concept that perhaps in our genes we have the feeling, the drive, the need to look as good as we can? So by goodness gracious, so what if we're narcissistic? Who in this room, who that you know is not? The man or woman that combs his hair or her hair, that uses underarm deodorant, that shaves her legs, is narcissistic after a fashion. So I plead guilty. Yes, I'm in a narcissistic business.
I think if anyone looks at me, they wouldn't realize that I had my nose done. And I don't have that lovely little scoop nose. I've got a nose that fits my face. And I think he did a lovely job on it. I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled with it.
Eileen Perlmutter, after and before.
It's just 5 weeks and 2 days
Yes.
since you had the nose done and the eyes done. What was the first thing you did when the bandages came off?
Looked at myself in the mirror. I was very pleased and very happy.
Let me see the nose. A little bit more. Now, you spend a lot of time looking in the mirror now.
Well, I happen to have mirror headboards. And the first thing when I get up in the morning, it really tends to make you quite narcissist. And the first thing when I get up in the morning, I turn around and I look just to make sure that it's really there. I really enjoy looking at myself. I feel it's made me look a lot younger. I wasn't really old looking before, but I feel it makes me look a lot more youthful. And I don't know, I think I have a softer look to my face now than I had before. Because with the nose the way it was, came kind of sharp at the end. It tended to make me look sharper.
Is it money well spent?
I think so. I would do it again. And I don't even think in terms of dollars and cents when it comes to this.
Now, often when people start having operations and find they like them, they want to go on having more. Anything else on the list?
No. No. I'm not hung up about having large bosoms. This was never a thing with me. No, the thing that I was hung up with was my nose. And I never, my eyes and I never thought about it before until I started getting this little flap, and then all of a sudden I started reading about eyes being done. And since I was having my nose done, I went ahead and had the eyes done anyway. I think I'm through. At least for the time being. We'll see what happens in another 10 years or so, how I age. But this was the thing that was very important to me. And I am so happy. It's just like, I feel like a new person. I really do. I feel almost like I'm reborn.
For 60-year-old Maurice Carter, the before and the after. It's exactly a week since you had your facelift.
Yes, it's been 1 week. It was Wednesday afternoon.
What did he do, the doctor?
He did my whole face from here all the way up into my hairline and to the sides, and also all the way to the back. On the eyes, he cut the lower part and cut a piece out. He cut the eyelids in the top and took a piece out. These were sewn back, and then 3 days later they took the stitches out. And as you can see, there's now glue around the edges.
But what did he do on the head then?
On the top, he pulled this up, pulled it from the back and up, and pulled the lines out of the forehead and put it back together here. And then did the same thing down the side with a piece out and in front of the ears as well as the back of the ears. When I became conscious again, the nurses were still stitching. And incidentally, they were very good at it, but they were stitching like a quilt work. And it was rather eerie. It didn't hurt, but they were both stitching, and so I have dozens of stitches under the hairline here.
Now, your facelift has cost you $2,500, which is £1,000 to me. Is it worth it?
To me, it is worth it. Now, to someone else, it might not be. In fact, it might be rank foolishness to a lot of people.
Would you do it again?
Yes.
Why?
Oh, it's worth that or more to me to look the way I feel that I now look, or that I'm going to look. So, yes, I would do it over.
Would you come here, please? Well, what? You could watch another operation. I don't care.
The cosmetic surgeon cannot give you Casanova's sex life or stop the clock. When surgery is finished, that remorseless clock begins to tick again, and with it, the aging process. But plastic surgery is the latest toy of our plastic culture, and it seems the next generation will submit to such operations as we go to the dentist, visiting their cosmetic surgeon every 5 years or so, just to keep in shape.
Listen, you pay the $100, you get the course. Right, Don?
Right. Dallas.
If they're nice to me, I'll give them a lesson on how to make money and how to count.
Banking.
Banking is good. Are you coughing still? What are you coughing for? The operation's over.
Don't you sometimes feel a bit like Dr. Frankenstein?
I like to think that I feel a little bit more like closer to God than Frankenstein. I like that analogy a lot better. I don't like Dr. Frankenstein at all. Matter of fact, look what happened to him. I'd like to think that I'd like to finish up a little bit closer to God's level than Frankenstein's. But aside from that, yes, there is, I guess, an analogy.
We don't have to wait for the story.
Right. Okay. We have no electrical problems here.
You're so heavy.
Oh, my God. We struck oil.